Hi, my name is Julian Canny. I'm from Euphorium. We were the team that were working with the Ravensthorpe-Hopetoun Future Fund to develop the new application process and the Canvas process. This recording is as of the 27th of May, and no doubtedly through the application process there will be iterations of this and changes as we work through the problems and find the opportunities. But what I'm going to do today is really quickly walk through the application process and what that actually involves. And in particular, we're going to use the application Canvas, which is a new tool we've developed to help committees, teams, and groups collaborate and work on their application before submitting the application form. Okay, so the Ravensthorpe-Hopetoun Future Fund have changed their application process for a variety of reasons. And a large part of that is to work out a simple way to move from investment into what you are going to do, and instead now moving towards a model where they're investing in the behaviours of a proactive community. Now, this is because the Future Fund wants to see a future community of enduring self-determination, and so as a result wants to invest in the behaviours of a enduring self-determined community. And so this is probably the most important thing that you'll need to know walking into this application, as it frames all of the questions and the way that the questions are structured, and also the way that your application will be assessed. So on this Canvas, which is a tool provided, this is not actually the application, but the application Canvas is a tool that is provided to help you make the application process simple, and also to give you a simple way to work with a team or work with a committee and put post-it notes, scribble on it, whatever you want to do to start to develop your application, so that by the time you go to type it in, you know all the details, you've worked out all the partnerships, and you've actually been able to demonstrate the behaviours that that you're after. So what we're going to do is we're going to now look at the application Canvas. So you can print this application Canvas out. If you need a copy, please get in touch and we can send that through to you. Best to print it out on A3. However, if you require, little rogue box there. If you require, you can also use the Miro board, which is this particular software here. So it's very, very simple. All of the questions that are in the Canvas are all of the questions that are currently in the application process. So if you're wondering about the application itself and is there any difference, why do I fill the Canvas out? The Canvas is a tool in order to help you fill this out. So it works very simply. The green boxes here are the behaviours that we want to see invested in. And the questions are all framed and built around your ability to demonstrate those. In this Canvas, the way to use it is you can see here that essentially you just get some post-it notes. You can do this in the digital version in Miro, which is the program here, or you can print it out and stick post-it notes or scribble with pens, scribble on it yourself. Any of the grey post-it notes we see on this Canvas are the examples that we've provided. So if you're wondering what they are, they're just examples that you could easily use. All right, so let's get started. So what we're going to do is we're going to walk through the application Canvas really quickly and show some, I might switch between this Canvas and the workshop one that we did with a group, which focuses on a application for a community bus. And so thank you very much to the group that was doing that. And so as you can see here, they've filled it out with a bunch of post-it notes to help them get their thinking straight and right, so that now they can actually go and enter that information into the application form very easily. All right, so here we go. So the first question is your idea eligible? Now, this is really important because this is the major part that is reliant, that is built into the trust, and it's a one piece of governance that you need to meet to be able to, that will be an instant no if it doesn't meet this. Now, these are obviously sentences that can be used a bit of interpretation. So if you're not sure, reach out to the Future Fund and they can help gain some clarity for you. So is the idea a charitable endeavour that will provide community welfare benefits to all or substantial proportion of people who reside in the Shire of Ravensthorpe? Or is facilities and services that improve the welfare, culture or amenity of all substantial proportions of people who reside in the Shire of Ravensthorpe? And so what we're really looking for here is making sure your application doesn't reject one of these. So that's what if you're really unsure, that's the first thing you need to look at. All right. So we have the first part of the canvas. On the left-hand side, you'll see that there is information about what these pages are asking for. So the first part is why we want to know why your group comes together. The reason we want to know that is we can't work on the assumption that we know everything about everything you're doing. And the way we've interpreted it as the people approving or reviewing applications may not be the way that what your group thinks. So we want to get a bit of an idea about the purpose of your group. So we do that through two ways. The first one is problems. We, our group, not the project. So this is not about the project. This is about your group or you as the applicant care about solving. So outside this application, what problems do you or your group most care about solving? Well, we have here that we want perceptions of job opportunities for young people in the community. So this is just an example. Is this group cares about changing the perception that there is no jobs for young people. The box on the right here is what we, our group, not the project, are most passionate about. So outside this application, what are you or your group most passionate about? And this is, it could be very simply, it could be like we want to make sure that people feel entertained. We want to, we love getting together. We love socializing, or we care so much about the power of small communities. It can be anything. And so this example is the creative energy that young people bring to business. So that's something that we're really passionate about. Now you can have about 10, 15 different things in here. We've just provided one as an example. Once you bring those two together, you'll see here the blue lines. So the problems and the passions. We then have, why does your organization exist? And what we're looking for is, what's the purpose of your organization? So combine what problems you care most about with what you are most passionate about to give indication of your purpose. So you can see here the example has taken the problem and the passion and gone, well, we're about creating professional futures for young people. And now that's really clear to me as someone who's reviewing this application. And also, you've articulated in such a simple way. It's really powerful. Probably one mistake that people are going to make with this application is overcomplicating it. The answers and the questions seem simple. It's because they are. If you can't simply articulate what is the purpose or what is the problem you're trying to solve, then it's hard for us to know and understand what it is. Now, the problem might be complex, and we can go into that a bit more, but we need to be able to simply articulate what it is that you are asking for investment for. All right, so now we talk about the project that you're applying for, or the initiative. So then this page is called The Future We Want to See. So how does it fit into the bigger picture? As we are the Future Fund, we need to know about the future. This section uses a model of question that allows applicants to consider the project in the form of a theory of change. So you don't need to worry too much about this, about what all that logic means. You just need to answer the questions, and the simplicity in your answers, the better. So the first one is, what is the problem we're trying to solve with this application, big or small? And then to the right here, we have, what do we know about the problem? Now, so what we're going to get you to do is list the problems that you're trying to solve this application. Now, this might seem difficult, and it might seem a bit weird to be naming problems when we're, particularly we found with other applicants in Ravensthorpe and Hopetoun is people want to be really optimistic. Now, this is not about, it's not about being pessimistic. It's about talking about the reality of the situation. So let's go to a quick example here. We'll show you this community bus project, which applied. So the group was the community, Ravensthorpe Community Centre, the community bus replacement. And so you can see they've come up with lots of different ideas. And so what they care about as an organisation is we care about improving the livability of Ravensthorpe by providing services and space to get together. That's what they care about. So their problems, here we go. And I would encourage you to come up with lots here, because what we did with the workshop with the Ravensthorpe Community Centre was came up with heaps, and then we started to refine, actually, this is the root problem that we really care about. And so I really encourage you to do this. It's very, very useful. So we've got here, the problem we're trying to solve is people without access to the means to transport would be hindered. Events, school camps, country week would become cost prohibitive and not happen if we don't have a bus. Sorry, is what it is. If we don't have a bus, accessibility is reduced without a bus service. Community cohesiveness risked without community bus. No other options locally for a bus currently. Can't afford a bus, so we will lose it soon. We have a loss of commercial buses. We're losing them with the mine changes. Like even this one here, like the FBCC can't take students on their excursions because there's no bus. So we have a really great picture. I mean, this one's really good as well, actually. Important, the bus is important for bringing Hopetoun and Ravensthorpe together. So we have a really important picture of what the problem is. Now, when you go to enter this into the application, you may just pick a few or make it, or dot point them out. But this is really great. It gives a really clear picture of the problem to the people reviewing your application. So the next question is, what do we know about the problem? So what data or observations do we have? Now, there are some examples here. You could put in a community survey. You could mention the report done by the state government. You could mention research that's been done. You could even list observations by parents at schools. But what we're looking for is how do we have as much data to say that that's actually a problem, that we can back it up. So it's not just you going, I reckon it's a problem. It's like, well, this also says that. So we had here some examples. We have a list of user groups that would be affected by the bus, and we have many families, 2 working parents that can't do excursions, etc. Because of the census, we can see how many people in census, and we also have survey data about the bus, as well as Roundabout Arts as a large audience using the bus between towns. So we've got like an audience sheet. They'll give us the stats as well. So these are the things we want to include in there. So we know this is the problem, and we know it's a problem because these bits of data and information we have. And the last part is, what would the future be like if that problem was solved? Now, this is critical because of the Future Fund is about the future, and so we need to be able to articulate that. So this example it can be very, very simple, is if we solve the problem of the bus problems that we have, we would have a future where we can get people around our big region easily. Really clear, really simple. All right, so now you define the problem. What we're going to do is we're going to put it into a bit of a narrative form. And this is really important for both you articulating it and also you communicating it to people once you've got the money, as well as us as the applicant reviewers, to be able to understand the different effects that what you're going to do might have. So we have a couple of columns here. The first one is the current reality. And so from the current reality, you can actually take a bunch of the post-it notes or notes you made around the problems that you defined and start with those. So pick some of the core ones. So we've got here, the example this is the example format that's in the template. So local businesses lacking trained employees. And then so that's the current reality. As part of this application, we will do the following things. So this is your chance to write down what you're going to do now. So for local businesses lacking trained employees, as that part of that example, we're going to develop a training register and outreach program. We're going to broker relationships with high school kids, and we're going to run market research to identify training gaps. And then what that'll do is that will go from our current reality, doing those things, to our future reality, which is local people upskilled to fill vacancies. So we want to go from local businesses lacking trained employees to local people upskilled to fill vacancies. And that is so critical because it's about, so we know exactly the change that you want to create from our future investment in the future. So this, but we'll go back to the community bus example. So we've got here, from the current reality of risk liabilities attached to an age bus threatening viability for the volunteer group. So at the moment, that bus is causing lots of issues. And it may lead them to sell the bus. That's the current reality. What they want to do with the money is they want to buy a new bus. It's really simple. To create a future reality where we have a relaxed committee able to do important other work, we have low maintenance, We have feasible liability and an upgraded bus as a result. Really simple. So we can see a clear line of like, that's the reality we have currently. With this investment, we'll do the following things to create this new reality. All right, really, really simple. And then also the future fund can pick this up and they can communicate to everyone else, well, we're excited because we want to invest in this because of this problem. In this reality, we want to create this new reality where the volunteer groups have a upgraded bus and a much more feasible liability of not having to manage an old bus that's causing them a massive drain on resources. So the last question is, how will we know our approach is working? And so this is where the acquittal concepts come in. So rather than necessarily having one set acquittal, we're actually wanting you to tell us what success is. We're a fund and we invest in things, but we don't know what success means because that's important to your group and your problem. If we decide that for you, then that's not you being proactive. So we want you to tell us, how will you know it's working? And that can simply be, in this bus example, is we have a bus that is connecting and servicing our community. And the question why that's important is we will come back to you in 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, whatever it is that the timeline is running. And we will say, hey, we would love an update from you about, is your approach working? You said that you would have a bus that's connecting and servicing our community. And what this does is it means that you can pivot and change the way you maybe approach it, or maybe what you were going to do originally. Maybe you weren't going to buy a bus. Maybe you're actually going to lease a bus, and you're going to change some major part of it. But the part that we care about the most is having a bus that connects and services the community. And so we want to know then, okay, well, you've had to make that change, but you did it because you knew that what was success was having a bus that was connecting and servicing our community. All right, so really simple. It's good to have 3 of these at least. There might be several different little problems or bigger problems, but the one is fine. It'll just help flesh out your application. All right, now we're on to partnerships. Now, partnerships has an extra little tricky piece that might trip you up at the start, but we promise you is quite easy once you get your head around it. If you need clarification, please reach out to the fund. So what we're looking for here is we have what are called partners. We have partners and we have stakeholders. So there's actually a difference. So partners are organizations that formally collaborate on your projects. So the partnerships are requirements for all applications over $20,000. So because one of the behaviors that we talked about up at the very top of this document was that we want to see a behavior of cooperation and also building trust and confidence, is that the financial amount that you're able to unlock with your application will be dependent on your ability to partner. So if you want under $20,000, you can put a solo application yourself. If you want more than $20,000, what we want to see is we want to see you spread the risk and the responsibility between your community members. Not so much so that one person can bail it out if it all goes up, but it's more about the symbolic behavior of being able to say that we think this thing is important, and we will so much so that we will even partner and be part of that accountability, even if maybe they're not the main one running the application. So if you'd like, if you're going to go for over $20,000, you need to have a partner at the minimum. Partners will share liability for funding provided by RHFF, but not necessarily ownership ongoing requirements associated with the funding project. Partners will be required to sign the application and grant agreement and participate in quarterly updates. So that's different to stakeholders. So stakeholders are groups that work with and or beneficiaries of the project. There is typically win-win outcomes and building trust and confidence throughout the process. So partners are ones who are signing on for the accountability and liability of the delivery of the application, not the ongoing, but stakeholders are the people that you're working with. So what we've got here is we now have a chance for you to brainstorm who your stakeholders and partners are. So we've got groups and partners, so you can put the names down. Are they a partner or a stakeholder? And then the fun question, what's in it for them? And so we asked what's in it for them because we could go through a process of getting support letters for various grants, but the reality is that's a administrative process. Our community is small enough and knows each other well enough that we know if it's a legitimate part, if it's a legitimate support letter or if it's just sort of going through the motions. But it's important for us to see the behavior, that you understand what is a win for that partner or that stakeholder. So if you can't name what's in it for them, you need to go ask them, what is in this for you? And you need to go understand. If you can name that, then you are demonstrating that behavior. And that's the type of thing that we're looking for in the applications. No, it's not the type of thing. That is the thing we're looking for in the applications that we will then either elevate or put you in a great position to get funding. The last one is, how will we build trust and confidence with each other? So really, really simple is, with that partner, how will you build trust and confidence? And this is once again one of those areas that is probably going to be overcomplicated, but I would encourage you to look at what you already do. So this could easily be, you can see the example here this is from the example, I think it was the business youth training program. We would have monthly morning teas between us at the start, and the staff, I meant to say, sorry, typo, and talk about the project. Really simple. It can be as easy as that. It can be providing a 5-minute update in our committee meeting each meeting for this project, or it could be whatever it is. But once again, we will ask that question because we will then ask you to fill us in as part of the acquittal. How did that go? The next section you need to know is very, very simple, is this concept of to, for, with, or by. And so it takes a village to create a future. Who else are you working with, and how do you build trust and confidence with each other? So who are your partners and how are you working with them? There's no right or wrong answer here. It's about understanding how you work together. And so this little graph here shows a scale of 2. You can do your project to somebody, which means that action's done to a partner based on what the group thinks it needs. So we know the answers and are responsible for delivering them. Sometimes it's very important in a local government. Local government deals your rubbish. They kind of do it to you. They kind of go, we're going to do this with the rubbish. We're going to do this scale. They're not doing it with you, or they might even be doing it for you, depending on the sort of circumstance. So 4 is then for actions done for a partner, informing by consultation. So we would like to know your opinions and ideas, and we will do the rest. By is then when it's done by the group or by the community. So if your community group's driving a lot of yourself, it's your by, right? You're doing it by some by the community. And then this with section is collaborating actions can be done with a partner. We can achieve more when we work together. So really, really simple with. Let's go to the example here from the bus example. So we've got here, in this community bus situation, we've got Rave About Arts. We're going to clarify if they're going to be a partner. I think they might be definitely interested to sign on so we can get much more money. What's in it for them? So for Rave About Arts, and so Jenny, who was leading this application, went and actually spoke to Ainsley, and in the result of that conversation meant that she actually found out more about the value of the problem to Rave About Arts that not having a bus would create. And it then strengthens this application, as well as Rave About Arts was able to also include their audience data for this application. So we had here, what's in it for them? Events able to service more than the town it's held in, brings towns together, and ability to connect people. Really simple. And then how can they build trust and confidence with each other between the two groups? RAA can commit to using the bus, will provide a full calendar and check in after every show if any issues, and management plan checklist. So they'll fill out the management plan and checklist, creating that feedback loop. And so this example partnership is done for them. So the community, we would be buying this bus and managing the bus for Rave About Arts. Whereas the next example, we've got the Ravensthorpe District High School. What's in it for them? Ability to provide transport for excursions, backup school bus. We didn't have it in the workshop, didn't get far enough, but it could be providing a report from the school board, or it could be whatever that is easy for them. And what we're doing is it's done with the school. So really easy. All right, and then last two questions on then partnerships and working with people is, what will you do to make sure you have a conversation with the people that your project or initiative will impact through delivery? So sometimes we're spending too much time administrating and assuming for our community. This is for us to make sure that you've taken the initiative to actually continue that conversation with the people who might benefit. So if it is students who are going to use the bus or Rave About Arts, is what will you do to continue that conversation? And actually, Rave About Arts in this example, from the meeting that Jenny had, then came up with some great suggestions to help them with their application. So we've got use Rave About Arts Humanities additional questions to survey community. So Rave About Arts are actually now going to put extra questions in their tickets when people buy a bus ticket, because to find out, like, is this useful? What's the impact for you? And that's a really, really great, simple way that they can work together. And the last one on this page is, how will you easily share your learnings and wisdoms? How will you share all that is gained through the delivery of the project initiative with other community members who could benefit from the knowledge? All right. So this becomes what we equip you on. So we could blog about the lessons on our Facebook page. We could make sure that we're having 5 minutes in every committee meeting to talk about what we've learned this week. And this was Jenny's fantastic idea. She's like, I could go and sort this bus on my own, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring someone else with me. I'm going to find a buddy from the community group, and they're going to come. And so that way we're learning about it together, and the wisdom doesn't just get held with one person. All right, so now we're on to our last page of the canvas, and hopefully you can see how this works. You use your post-it notes, and you just get at it, and you constantly going back and forth, sort of fleshing out your application. Once we've done that, then Jenny can go, whoever it is, can go really easily and write out the application using the same questions. But in a web form, it sort of sits on someone's computer and only one person has access to it. Whereas this is designed deliberately to help you flesh out the ideas and work with partners and build a really compelling case, and also keeping it simple. The problem that we see the most in the applications is the over complexity of adding new jobs to do. We want you to look at what you already do and how can you build it into that. All right, so the self-determined community is accountable to each other. So this is about accountability. Responsibility of being funded. On completion, how will you prove that the funds have been spent in line with the application and the intended purpose of the Ravensthorpe-Hopetoun Future Fund? So we are taking a big swing here, and we want you to define for us, how can you be accountable for being funded and be responsible for that. Now, this is because existingly in your organizations, you might have some of this already embedded. And if we decide uniformly we want this one thing, and that's something that you don't have, but you've got ability to do P&Ls and you have an auditor, you can actually suggest how you might provide that accountability. It could be with existing policies, it could just be within what your scope. And if it doesn't quite meet the satisfaction of the board in terms of governance, they'll come back to you and ask some questions like, could you do this as well? So you, depending on your money amount and how much and what you're going to, like, you know best of how you can be responsible. So you pitch us first. We can then always come back and suggest a tweak. So we're going to send a photo of the new bus in use. We're going to make sure we capture lots of photos. We're going to provide a list of expenses with copies of receipts, and we're going to do a project P&L in our annual audited accounts. So we already get accounts audited, so we're going to get a project P&L audited at the same time. Right. Next one is, how will you create opportunities for the community to gather and celebrate, inform, or participate? So really simple. How do you celebrate this? How are you going to celebrate it? We're going to have a bus christening party. And we're also going to, on hires, we're going to have social media on the hired bus trips. So like, as people are using it, we're going to do like social media about like, this is so amazing. This is the problem we're solving with this bus. And look at this great outcome. All right. Lucky last, the future is uncertain, but how do we anticipate the risks? So please note, successful applicants may be required to provide additional documentation. If you already have risk documentation, please feel free to proactively include in your application. So the opportunity for you to sort of, in the relevancy or the context of what you're applying for, have the ownership to go, you know what, actually, we do have a risk management form and it is relevant for this and we should do it. We'll fill one out and we'll actually apply it with it. Or we'll attach, this is what we will, a template of risk management plan, and we'll update it for the new bus when we buy it. Or we have a policy already, and this is part of, because we work with local government, we already have this policy in place and it's a procedure. So we're going to give you the ownership to upload the documentation that you might already have or that you think you need, and you can be proactive on this. However, if you don't feel like you need much, then you can just state that. And what the board will do is review it through a governance lens and then maybe send back suggestions like, well, actually, if you can do this, that would be really important. So these are then the questions of risk. So identify any risks that you can foresee that might lead to this project or initiative changing course or not being successful. So one of the main issues is we've got here from the school bus is the school not wanting to manage bookings. So what the concern is here is that, and I can imagine I'm putting myself in your shoes as an applicant, is do I really want to be listing all the things that could go wrong or the things that could affect my project that I'm aware of? And I would throw it back to you and say that that's, if in terms of behavior of a proactive community, is a proactive community would be aware of the risks and would be able to articulate them and know how to proceed anyway. Now, it doesn't mean you have to have the solutions to those risks, you just have to be conscious of them. And so if you write in here, actually, there's no risks at all, this is a perfectly risk-free project, that is not exactly showing initiative, which is one of those behaviors. So as someone reviewing the application, we would be like, well, it's more about the fact that you're aware of the risk and you haven't acknowledged any. So that's a bit of a concern of that behavior, a bit of a rejection of that behavior. So be proactive, name the risks. There's no harm in doing it. We know that the future involves taking risks, but we just want to know that you know what those risks are. What is the risk your organization is taking this project? So really simple. Are you putting money in? Are you putting time, reputational risk? Like what are we doing here? So we also kind of understand and appreciate what risks you're taking. And then how will you check in along the way to understand new risks as they arise and embrace them as an opportunity to change? So embracing opportunity to change is one of the behaviors around and around looking at like when a problem occurs is how can we change as a result of this? And so we've got in here, this is the bus example, we've got a management policy and we're going to do a quarterly check-in with everyone. And this is really critical because once again, this will form a part of your acquittal, is we just want to know that those things happen. Tell us about them. Probably less check that they happen, but more like celebrate they happen. So put the things in there that you're going to do, and we want you to hold yourself to account, but we'll ask you about, tell us about how they went. And the lucky last question, and this is one of the most important ones, is what is the risk to the community if we do not invest in this project? And once again, this is the example of the bus, is we would see a lack of opportunities at the school if we do not invest in this program. We would see our livability as a region decline, and we would see the sense of isolation increase without this bus. And that's why it's critical that we invest in it. And so this is one last opportunity to actually just test your idea so that we can understand really clearly what is the risk if we don't. And that's really important. You can even copy these and take them back up to your problem statement at the top and make that much more robust. And so in a really quick, that's a really quick overview of the application canvas. Once again, now that you've got that filled out, you can now go online to the Ravensthorpe-Hopetoun Future Fund website and fill out an application using all the brainstorming and the collaboration you've done, because you've got it all in place. If you'd like to know any more details, please get in touch with the Future Fund and understand that this video may be out of date. So also just check to see if there's a revised version by that point. Thanks again. We'll talk to you soon.